Hey guys, Ryan here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why you suck at Warzone. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. It just means I want to help you get better at Warzone, and I want to talk about big mistakes I see people making all the time. I hope you guys enjoy this video. We're going to get right into it, and the very first thing we're going to talk about is you have a lack of efficiency. The reason I stress this so much and chose for this to be number one is because this is one of the biggest things you can fix almost immediately. Warzone is a game of milliseconds, and if you aren't optimizing those milliseconds, you aren't going to be a good player. You can be a decent player, you can be an alright player, but to be a truly good player, a truly great player, you need to be efficient. I'm going to give some examples of what I mean by this. How fast are you to get behind cover and start plating? When you get into a gunfight, you fight someone you're weak. How fast do you actually begin plating, and how soon do you get to cover? How fast are you able to recognize your opponents? Are you slide canceling and plating? Are you adding movement into while you're plating? Are all of these things being efficient? Are you getting money buying loadouts quick? Are you spending the minimal amount of time at buy stations as you need to be? Are you wasting time finishing down people that you don't need to be? All of these things. That's what I mean by efficiency. I know that's a long list of examples, but look at that little three-piece in the background. Part of why I get it is because I'm going from one person to the next. The second I got one person down, I was slide canceling behind cover. If I got that person down, then once again, I was going behind cover. I was trying to identify where my enemies were at, and that's how I played the game. This is one of the key skills people need to learn. If you aren't efficient, you aren't going to be a good player. I know I keep saying this, but I mean it. It's the truth of why so many people are good. They have no wasted time. And if you have wasted time, that means you have wasted opportunities. And if you have wasted opportunities, then you're going to die a lot, because that's going to lead to mistakes. That's going to lead to you being caught out of position. And that's going to lead to you just dying with that crucial 1 or 2 bullets away from killing your opponent. And this is also going to play a big part in the second topic. And that's going to end up being that good players are predictive players and bad players are reactive players. If you are someone who, when you play Warzone, you feel like squads are coming out of nowhere, that they almost always have the advantage on you, and you really don't stand a chance, and it feels like people know where you're at when they shouldn't have a reason to know where you're at, it's probably not because they're cheating. It's probably because they're predictive players and you're a reactive player. When you're a reactive player, you aren't pushing people, you aren't trying to get the advantage, you aren't trying to predict where your enemies are at based on where you saw people land, based on where you saw red dots on the minimap. You're just running around kind of aimlessly, waiting for people to push you, just waiting for things to happen. And this is usually what quote-unquote bad players do. Good players, they're predictive players. Maybe a better term is proactive, but I do think predictive might be better. What I mean by this is you're always thinking, where are my opponents? What area should I avoid to stay alive? What area should I push to get kills? Where are my opponents going to end up being? And how am I going to play this in a smart way? That's what I mean by being predictive. When you're a reactive player, you don't think about these things. You just run around the map, kind of waiting to see what's going to happen, kind of hoping for the best. That's not good. That's not how good players play. That's not how you should play. And if you want to find success in Warzone, you have to learn to become more predictive and more proactive rather than being reactive. If you're always reacting late and always getting caught off guard, that's a you problem, and you can fix that by just fixing your mind state. Focus on thinking about where your enemies are. Think about power positions, think about lines of sight, think about common rotation positions, and overall just think about where your opponents are most likely going to be, and I can promise it's going to make you overall a way better player. So moving on to the final and third topic we're going to talk about in this video, and that's that you lose track of things. I know this sounds confusing and kind of weird, but what I mean is when you down someone, when you kill people, when you're in a gunfight with an entire squad of 3-4 people, you lose track of where your enemies are. You lose track of that person self-reviving behind you. You forget about second and third squads and potential third parties. As I said before, you just lose track of things. I know this doesn't seem like a big deal to a lot of people, and it's kind of obvious, like, yeah, of course I'm going to lose track of some things. But it really ends up harming your gameplay, and it ends up being a huge net negative, especially if you want to end up winning and doing well. Because these are the things that usually kills you. When you forget about that one squad who was shooting a minute ago on your mini-map, and you kind of saw him, but you didn't really pay attention too much, when you forget about that, and you run into that squad, that's just you losing track of those things. When you're fighting a team and you get 2 people down and you knew where the third one was because you saw him 10, 20 seconds ago, but you just forgot in that moment, that's you losing track of things. And all these little moments, they add up. And when you're a very aware and focused player and you're in the moment and you grasp everything that's going on in your gunfights, you just see so many more results, it's hard to even quantify. Another big way that I really notice this impacting people is when it comes to revives and when it comes to plating. Because people don't grasp where their enemies are and they kind of lose track, they'll get caught out reviving. They'll not realize how bad of a position it is to revive in. The same thing goes for plates. They'll be in a gunfight, they'll be in a very tense situation, and they'll just forget to plate. And if they wouldn't forget to plate, they would have won that next gunfight they're going to get into, but because they have no plates, they get absolutely melted, they lose the game, and it ends up being a negative experience. But if they weren't losing track of those little things, they'd end up knowing they needed to plate, they'd end up probably winning the gunfight, and they'd end up having a much better time. So guys, this was probably my last "this is why you're quote unquote terrible" or "this is why you suck at Warzone" videos. I'm going to make a lot more for Warzone 2, for Modern Warfare 2 and whatnot. But for Warzone 1, this is probably the last one. I'm winding down all of the coaching videos I want to make for Warzone 1. I'm going to get into a couple coaching videos for Warzone 2. Obviously, I have a ton planned for that. But I do just want to say thank you guys so much for everything the past year and a half of this YouTube. You guys mean the world to me. Thank you guys for allowing me to have a channel like this. I can't wait for Warzone 2. I know Warzone content is not being viewed as much in general. I know people don't care as much about Warzone 1 with Warzone 2 being right around the corner. But it's right here. I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been Ryan. Peace.